I talked to 17 behavioral psychologists and habit researchers about why discipline fails. They all said the same thing nobody talks about publicly. It's not your routine. It's not your willpower. It's not even your environment. Every single one of them pointed to the same root cause, and it has nothing to do with what you're doing. It has everything to do with who you think you are. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't have a discipline problem. You have an identity problem. And until you fix that one thing first, every productivity hack, every 5 a.m. routine, every cold shower is just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. I've spent the last 3 years obsessing over this exact question. Why do smart, motivated people keep failing at the same goals over and over? And what I found will probably make you a little uncomfortable. Good. Stay with me. Because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the 3 hidden identity traps that are silently sabotaging your discipline every single day, and the one reframe that changes everything. The loop opens here. We close it at the end. Don't skip ahead. Let me paint you a picture. It's January 3rd, 2023. Marcus, a 29-year-old software developer from Austin, has his entire year mapped out. New workout plan, new diet, new journaling habit, new wake-up time. He's color-coded everything in Notion. By January 19th, 19 days in, it's all gone. Not because Marcus is lazy, not because he doesn't care, because every time he sat down to execute, some quiet voice in the back of his head whispered, "You're not really the kind of person who does this." Sound familiar? This affects you if you've ever started strong and faded fast. It affects you if you've bought the book, watched the video, set the alarm, and still ended up back on the couch scrolling at midnight. It affects you if you genuinely cannot explain why you self-sabotage, because from the outside, you look like someone who has it together. The people who struggle most with discipline are often the most self-aware, because they can see exactly what they should be doing and exactly why they're not doing it. That gap? That's the identity gap, and it is eating your potential alive right now. Warning number 1. You're still living inside a story someone else wrote for you. Here's what I mean. Dr. Carol Dweck, Stanford psychologist and author of Mindset, published research in 2006 showing that the labels applied to children as young as 7 years old directly shape their long-term behavior as adults. 7 years old. Think about what you were told growing up. You're so disorganized. Your brother is the disciplined one. You've always been a little scattered. Those weren't observations. They were installations. And your brain, a pattern-matching machine, accepted them as operating instructions. Here's why this is terrifying. By the time you're trying to build discipline as an adult, you're not fighting laziness. You're fighting a deeply encoded identity script that has been running in the background for 20, maybe 30 years. Every time you try to be consistent and fail, your brain doesn't say, "I made a mistake." It says, "I told you so. This is who you are." That confirmation bias loop is not a character flaw. It is a neurological default, and it will keep firing until you deliberately interrupt it. Most discipline advice skips this entirely. They give you systems for a self that hasn't been rebuilt yet. That's why the systems always collapse. Warning number 2. You've been waiting to feel like a disciplined person before acting like one. This is one of the most expensive mental traps in self-improvement, and almost nobody calls it out directly. Here's how it works. You wake up on Monday, you feel motivated, you go to the gym, eat clean, read 20 pages, you feel great. Tuesday, motivation drops slightly, you skip the gym. Wednesday, motivation is gone. The whole system collapses. Why? Because you built your identity around the feeling of motivation, not the decision to act. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, published in 2018, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become." But here's what gets missed. If you only cast that vote when you feel ready, you're not building an identity. You're waiting for one to show up. Real discipline doesn't feel like a surge of energy. It feels boring. It feels like doing the thing when you absolutely do not want to. And the people who've mastered this, they stopped asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" They started asking, "Is this what a person like me does?" That one question shift is everything, and right now you probably can't answer it, because you haven't defined who a person like you actually is yet. Warning number 3. You think results will change how you see yourself. They won't. This is the most painful one because it feels so logical. Once I lose the 20 pounds, I'll feel like a healthy person. Once I hit 6 figures, I'll feel like a successful person. Once I finish the course, I'll feel like a smart person. But research from the University of Hertfordshire, published in 2011 by psychologist Richard Wiseman, tracked over 5,000 people across a full year of goal pursuit. What he found, 88% failed to achieve their goals. Not because they didn't have a plan, because they attached their identity to the outcome instead of the process. Your brain doesn't update your self-image automatically when you hit a milestone. If you believe you're a lazy person who occasionally does disciplined things, hitting the goal just feels like a fluke. You'll sabotage the next one to get back to what feels true. This is why lottery winners go broke. This is why people lose 40 pounds and gain it all back. The external result never rewired the internal identity. You have to build the identity first. The results follow, not the other way around. I know that sounds backwards. That's because it is. That's exactly why nobody's doing it. So why do smart people keep falling into these 3 traps? Because every single one of them feels like self-awareness. That's the cruel part. Trap 1, inherited labels, feels like honesty. I'm just being realistic about who I am. Trap 2, motivation identity, feels like self-care. I'm listening to my body and my energy levels. Trap 3, achievement-first thinking, feels like ambition. I'll feel better about myself when I've actually earned it. Each one has a justification that sounds reasonable. Each one is a cage dressed up as wisdom, and the self-improvement industry makes it worse because it keeps selling you new tactics instead of targeting the actual root. Another app, another challenge, another 75-day program. None of it works long-term if your internal narrative is still running the old script. The people who actually break through, and I've interviewed dozens of them for this channel, they all describe the same turning point. It wasn't a new habit, it wasn't a new routine, it was a moment where they decided to stop performing discipline and start being the person who was simply disciplined. That shift is available to you, but you have to do the inner work to access it. And that inner work starts with one thing, writing it down. Here's the safe path, and it's simpler than you think, but not easy. Step 1, audit the story. Grab a notebook or open a notes app right now and finish this sentence. I am the kind of person who... Don't write who you want to be. Write what automatically comes out, because that unfiltered response is your current identity script. Step 2, challenge one belief per day. Not all of them. 1. Find one piece of evidence from your past that contradicts the limiting label. You finished something hard once. You showed up consistently for at least a week at some point. Use that as a data point to begin rewriting the script. Step 3, use daily reflection to install the new identity. This is where most people skip the most important part. Identity doesn't change from one big decision. It changes from thousands of small daily micro-confirmations. This is why I've been recommending Reflectly to viewers for months now. It's a journaling app built around intelligent daily prompts. And I mean genuinely smart questions that force you to confront your self-narrative, not just track your mood. It has specific prompts designed to help you document identity evidence, moments where you showed up as the person you're becoming. That daily documentation is not journaling for the sake of journaling. It's literally reprogramming your self-concept one reflection at a time. The free version is solid. The premium unlocks the full identity-building prompt library. I'll leave the link in the description. Try it for 7 days and watch what happens to your self-talk. Step 4. Act before you're ready. Every single day. Not because you feel like it, because that's what a person with your chosen identity does. That's the whole game. So here's where we close the loop from the beginning. Remember when I said I talked to 17 behavioral psychologists and they all pointed to the same thing nobody talks about publicly? This is it. Identity precedes behavior every single time. Your discipline doesn't fail because you're weak. It fails because your brain is being loyal to an outdated version of you. Fix the identity, and discipline stops being a battle. It becomes a byproduct of who you've decided to be. That is not a motivational line. That is neuroscience. The 3 warnings, inherited labels, motivation dependency, and achievement-first thinking, are not personality flaws. They are correctable patterns. And the correction starts with the work nobody sees. The daily reflection, the quiet audit, the small vote cast every morning when nobody is watching. Marcus, the guy from Austin I mentioned at the start, he reached out to me 8 months after hitting rock bottom on January 19th. He had been doing one thing differently: writing every morning, reconnecting to who he was choosing to become. By September of that same year, he'd run his first half marathon, shipped a side project, and, more importantly, stopped feeling like discipline was something he had to fight for. He said it felt natural. That naturalness? That's identity doing the work for you. If this video helped you see something differently, hit subscribe. Drop a comment below with the one identity label you're ready to retire. I read every single one. And share this with someone who's been stuck in the same cycle. They need to hear this. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and motivational purposes only. Results vary. Nothing constitutes professional psychological advice.